So I'm Jessica Boskill. I'm currently a trainee solicitor at RHW working in the private client department. So I do a lot of work to do with wills, trusts, probate and administration of estate and things like that.
I'm Dan Crates. I'm a solicitor here at RHW in the dispute resolution team.
My name's Alice Ryder and I'm a trainee solicitor here in the commercial department.
Hi, my name is Jack Lightburn. I'm a commercial property solicitor at RHW. I studied history at Durham, and then after that I did the GDL and the LPC, and then I became a paralegal, and then that progressed and I was offered a training contract, and after 2 years I qualified.
I did the graduate diploma in law at Sussex University, and that's essentially doing a law degree in 1 year, which was very intense, throws you in at the deep end, but also good because going into the career you need to get used to lots of pressure. And then you do something called a legal practice certificate, which I did at the University of Law in Guildford, and that's another 1 year course. I did a master's in legal practice there, and it was actually there I was quite concerned because I had a lack of legal work experience. I hadn't worked in many offices. I had a customer service background, worked in a lot of retail, and they offered a scheme at the University of Law, a mentoring scheme, and it was a solicitor here that was doing the mentoring, and I asked a few times and just commented on how difficult it was to get work experience, and managed to get work experience here and kept an eye on the website, and eventually I saw that they were advertising for interest in training contracts, so I sent an email with my interest, got an interview, came in. I didn't start as a trainee solicitor. I did a year as a paralegal first, which is what a lot of firms do now. It's almost like a year-long job interview to, for them to get to know you and everything. And then I started my training contract January last year, so I'm into my second year, and it's only 18 months, so I finish in June. It's exciting.
During my studies at my A-levels, law was kind of the subject that I found an interest in. I did my law degree at the university just up the road from here, and then I looked at trying to get my foot in the door with a law firm, and they were offering a receptionist post here, so I took that on the pretense that I'd then become a paralegal. So I did 6 months on reception, and then I became a paralegal in the commercial department, and then 9 months from that I'm now a trainee here. So I have a lot of on-the-job training with Nick Richardson, who's the commercial solicitor here. I work directly with him, and he's great. Any questions that I have, he'll sit through and talk them through with me from the start to the finish. I'm allowed to sit in on client meetings, and this means that I can really get a feel for the client and the case. And we have a lot of ongoing training with webinars and seminars, but usually it's just on the job. Any questions I have at the time, I'm able to ask.
It's been quite a long journey qualifying as solicitor, because I originally tried to experience different career paths, so I had a well thought out plan when I was younger. When I was about 19 or 20, I started studying law again, having studied it at A-level, because it really interested me. And then I continued studying law through college, at weekends and evenings, through something called the Chartered Institute of Legal Executives. And I managed to qualify, having worked in the law firm for about 8 years as a legal executive in about winter of 2016. And then I cross-qualified after joining RHW beginning of 2017. I did some more studies through the GDL and LPC, and then I was able to, with RHW's help of funding me on different elements and allowing me to work flexibly at work, I qualified as a solicitor in October 2018. And I'm really glad I did, because I obviously like helping businesses and individuals resolve disputes. That's really what motivates me at work.
So I've only really been in the commercial sector, but it is different from what I thought it would be. It seems quite dry when you're studying it, but actually in practice it's really quite interesting and it's structured, which I quite like. It doesn't seem as personal as maybe family can be or other areas, so I quite like that you're working one-on-one with a client to reach a common goal with the other side. It's not contentious.
I have a lot of client interaction. It's a lot of learning on the job. When I've spoken to my peers, and especially I was completely put off by the idea of working in a city firm, because you hear these horror stories about people being chained to photocopiers, not getting a lot of interaction. They come out and they find jobs in regional firms and they've actually not had that practical experience, whereas here from day one, though you are thrown into the deep end, it helps you deal with the pressure, A lot of clients, I was a first point of contact if the solicitor was unavailable. And even now in my department, Edward, who's my supervisor, will say to clients, if I'm unavailable, you can speak to Jess. And I feel good because they're comfortable doing so. I'm confident speaking to them. And it's only from having that level of client interaction that I feel I'm able to, because if you're just behind the scenes the whole time and doing all the admin, you don't build up that relationship, and that relationship is so fundamental to delivering the service that we do.
So we have in-house sort of webinars, seminars, maybe once every month to update us on changes in the case law and things like that. And we also have internal property meetings with just the people in the property department where we discuss case law and changes to legislation. And then once a year I attend a course externally, full-day course, to hear about updates to case law and developments in the law, basically.
So at the moment in my LPC, I'm about to start studying dispute resolution and employment law, and I think these would both be interesting to get involved with. So I think my next seats here as a trainee will be in the dispute resolution department.
So RHW are really good at training in-house. We've got quite a wealth of solicitors from different practice areas. So if we ever have any queries or issues arise in our cases, whilst I'm a dispute resolution solicitor, I might need assistance from our commercial team or property team or our private client teams. We're always able to ask colleagues for assistance. In addition to that, we'll often do in-house training programs. Personally, my training's been supported quite helpfully by one of the partners here, Samantha Jago. She actually taught me years ago when I was studying to be a legal executive at college. So that's how I first came into the firm, meeting Samantha and seeing her love and passion for the law, and really driving my ambitions forward. Moving forward into the end of 2019, I'm going to be continuing with my interest in intellectual property law and disputes around IP. So the firm are actually paying for me to do a postgraduate diploma at Oxford University towards the end of this year, so that will really assist me with my practice day to day.
So I found with RHW they've been really supportive of me in my training. So at the moment during my training contract, I am actually studying my LPC part-time, which means that on Wednesdays I'm allowed one day to go to university, and which is really nice that they've been able to allow me to do this. And I think they see my future and they want to be able to help me progress.
So the area that interested me most was family initially, because as I was a paralegal for a year first, I worked in the family team. I expressed very strongly that that's the area I wanted to go into. And I hadn't had much work experience apart from 2 weeks in family, so I had a kind of idea of what it was, and I really enjoyed it. It's very high pace, high pressure, getting results. I spent a lot of time in court with barristers, which I really enjoyed, and that was different to what I'd expected. But because I hadn't had much experience, I had no idea what to expect from other departments. And as a trainee, you work in different areas. So the most surprising one was probably private client and how much I'm enjoying that now. Everyone kind of thinks of it, the dusty old corner of the office where it's all the wills and it's old fashioned, but it's not. I really get into the complicated tax questions, and I've really got my teeth into it, and I'm hoping to stay in this seat until the end of my training contract, because ultimately it's what I do want to go into, and so it is the area that surprised me the most, because I didn't think I would embrace it the way I have, but I really enjoy it.
Prior to working at RHW, I actually worked as a personal injury paralegal and trainee legal executive for about 8 years. And I really enjoyed that because there was a lot of crossover between personal injury and clinical negligence. I don't currently practice personal injury at RHW, but what I learned from working within personal injury is that it gave me a great experience and knowledge for general litigation, which I'm able to use in my current practice areas. So that's been really useful.
In the future, I think from my experience here, I have learnt that I would like to steer away from contentious law. So anything contentious is the family and dispute. I did a brief seat in the dispute resolution team, and it's such a wide area that you have to have such a general knowledge of everything. And I think with me, I prefer to focus on one thing and get to know it to the best of my ability. Getting to know more in depth of these things, and you can specialise in different areas, and you can become different parts of different associations, and you can get involved in so many. It spreads outward. It's not limited to one area, but as a trainee I'm only kind of touching the surface. So in private client I'm looking forward to seeing what else there is to come.
My main interest moving forward is within the intellectual property field. I really enjoyed studying it on the LPC course, which I've recently completed, and we've had some experience with dealing with intellectual property issues. But I fully appreciate it's quite a complex area of law, so with the firm assisting me with a postgraduate diploma through Oxford later this year, I feel that I'll be really skilled up to help our clients' needs moving forward. And in addition to that, I'm quite excited by contentious probate law, and that's something else the firm will be assisting me with moving forward with training. Going back to the intellectual property, I really find that stimulating and interesting, because often it's big brands and legal issues involved, but I view in the 21st century and the age that we live in, there's a lot of value for companies in their intellectual property, whether it be trademarks, web domains, copyright issues. I think that in this boom time of startups and tech startups, I really see that's where the value is for these companies. So I think being skilled up and being an expert within intellectual property would be great for me going forward and for the firm.
The best thing would probably be the people that I get to work with. We're a really close team, and it's really nice to be able to work with people like that. And my boss, Nick, obviously he's the commercial solicitor here, and I get one-on-one contact with him, and his training is really good, considering I'm allowed to speak to clients and be involved so much as I am with them.
I think the best thing about working RHW is the team. People will notice if you're stuck at the photocopier. People will notice if you're rushed off your feet. There were days where I was doing endless bundles and someone would go and buy me lunch because they'd seen. They wouldn't, sometimes they wouldn't ask me if I'd had lunch. They could just tell, and they'd pick up. And people that have been away or someone's off sick, and the secretaries pull together to get dictation done, and everyone does pull together as a team to get through. And I think that is the best thing. And you feel like they do care about if you're having a bad day. It's not just get on with it. The most important part is you do the work. It's like, no, hang on, we need to make sure you're happy with what you're doing, not just trying to get, votes out. It's all the support that's there.